You're listening to 89.9 FM. This is your host, Yolanda Wallace. And again, we have another exciting topic. We have a guest in our studio, all the way from the sweet Chi-Town, Chicago. Her name is Miss Corine Barnes. Welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I'm going to let her just talk a little bit about what she's doing here in Peoria and the dots that she's connecting.
Once again, my name is Corine Barnes. I have been back and forth to Peoria for about 2.5 years. I was around the initial setup and establishment of House of Hope Peoria. So I created the structure, the marketing, and the programming there. So after a year, I am back with the partnership with the Community Healing Resource Center. We're located in 13 different locations. So Peoria is the location, which is also inside the House of Hope building at 514 South Shelley Street.
Awesome, awesome. And how did all this come about?
In regards to the Peoria CHRC?
Yes, the Healing Center.
Absolutely. So I have been working with multiple nonprofits all across Chicago and Peoria. I do work for myself as an independent contractor with Corine Logics LLC. So what I do with organizations, I create strategic processing planning. I create the curriculums. I'm also a clinical mental health therapist. So I collect the data. My goal is to help smaller nonprofits get into the line of the larger ones to get the state and federal funding that is definitely deserved to them. So this opportunity came up. Mr. Burnside did reach out to me to ask if I could assist to just increase the services with the Peoria CHRC, and I accepted it. I decided to market and work with multiple not-for-profits instead of just having individuals do a collaboration of what I'm calling as a nonprofit correlation. So I have multiple nonprofits working together. Some of our main ones is May I Community Outreach with Mr. Carl Holloway. He goes by Coach Carl. He's supporting our reentry boys and our youth. He's also going into the different prison systems to provide mentorship, and we provide them resources afterwards. I also have Truth Heals, which is an up-and-coming mentorship program with Terrell Rickman, also providing support around trauma and assistance. And it's Aftermath for You, which is with Dr. Kamita Clark. She's providing the counseling for the different programs. We also have Grow Community, which is also located at the House of Hope building 514 South Shelley. They provide only counseling for males only, and they'll directly come to you. Then it's my large organization that I've been working with in Chicago. That is our Mothers on a Mission 28. I've been working with her for about 1.5 years with the revamp and the structuring, which we now have is grief cycle education. So I am also bringing that service to the city of Peoria, which we've been doing extremely well with providing resources, and with the partnership with Mothers War Against Violence with Mother Wars on Violence with Miss Yolanda Wallace in regards to just increasing the services that we have, which one of the most recent one, I was able to get in contact with one of my connections at the Attorney General office to bring the actual person from the Attorney General office to talk and educate the Peoria community on victims' compensation and just their rights and the resources that are there. So I am still the main person supporting individuals. So I've been getting a lot of inbox assistance. So if you do need some support, my page is Counselor Barnes, but also Peoria CHRC and Mothers on a Mission 28. If you inbox any of these entities, I'll definitely have no problem scheduling an appointment with you and to help you complete your victim's compensation.
And why is this so important?
This is important. It's a personal mission of mine. As I'm transitioning through life, I am realizing what my purpose in life is and what is my spiritual gift. And my spiritual gift is strategic organizing, mental health, and just developing a rapport. So by me, born in South Central LA, raised in Compton, losing a brother to gun violence, anyone that is struggling with mental illness from generational and environmental trauma, the same way I have been, my mission is to support them to navigate through that instead of focusing on psych medication and other different things, but to learn how to live with your trauma and with your disorder instead of having to lash out, which is increasing a lot of other different negative impacts on people.
And I think that is so awesome because here in our Peoria area, we don't have very many professionals who actually have experienced it, the trauma, and then that work in the field of servicing others. I really like the presentation by the Attorney General's outreach coordinator, and it was phenomenal. Just things that we didn't even know about, like if it goes back to 5 years for the victims' compensation, where if something has happened and you've already applied for maybe the funeral part, but you have ongoing issues, that you still can get that help. And I thought that was so awesome, Ms. Corine, that you brought that to our Peoria area, and that it's going to help so many other people, as well as the programs and collaborating these things together. Mothers War on Violence has a close-knit coalition of agencies working with trauma. So this is awesome for our connection at such a time as this. We've only been in existence for just a couple years as a 501c3 organization. So we're very excited to be coming aboard with you all down there. And then let's talk about the connection within the state of Illinois, because I understand there's other community healing places too that you have too, right?
No, not directly.
Okay.
In regards to the Peoria CHRC, we do have locations in Rockford, Springfield, I think Champaign. We have about 4 or 5 in the west side of Chicago area and one in the suburbs. So the Peoria location is the only non-faith-based location. All of the other locations are established and they're being implemented inside actual churches. So this is something that's been doing extremely well. Their goal is to provide resources. However, with the city, the Peoria CHRC, I have been able to not only provide resources, but also have services in-house. So that's where we have with our ATC monthly groups. That's the Adult Transitional Center. With that partnership with May I Community Outreach, we're able to provide direct individual counseling. We have group counseling around grief, emotional intelligence, and also other different things just to help that population navigate through their transition. They're currently still in the ATC, but they are getting ready to be released. And I feel confident that the approach that we're using will actually decrease a lot of the long-lasting trauma that they've been affected with in order to become amazing citizens and decrease recidivism.
Awesome. That's the awesome response. And it has been extremely busy. I know that with all the different organizations in and out, and we're doing all sorts of type of things to make a difference in our community, a healing center is almost something, well, actually really is what we needed, because we don't have that close-knit collaboration all the time where we're dealing directly with agencies who deal with trauma. And I think, what is the difference? I was going to ask, my question was, what's the difference between, and I know we've talked about this before, between having a counselor versus a grief group? Because, we have a support group, and there is a difference, and I don't think everybody knows what that difference is. You want to share that?
Well, the difference between like counselors and therapists and all of these different when it comes to the mental health field, it's all in regards of their degree. So by my master's being in clinical mental health, I'm able to work with multiple different populations that I study and went to school for. So grief is one of them. But you'll have some individuals that are just strictly grief counselors. You have some who are just with, anxiety or marriage and family. Okay. So it's just mainly knowing what that clinician actually have that decides the difference. The difference also around a counselor and a therapist is just a degree level, which is if it's a bachelor's certification compared to a master's.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay. Do you think they're just, well, I don't know if they're just as, if they're just as, helpful as, because I've heard some of our families have gone to some of yours, and they tell me they like both of them. They like the clinical side of it as well as just the grief side, just being in a support group.
And absolutely. I think one thing that I've noticed with when you start bringing resources to other areas, a lot of people are not getting that buy-in from the community. And also, I look into competitive advantages. That's something I'm learning right now with my doctor's degree. You don't want to reduplicate the wheel. And that's what I see is happening a lot in the city of Peoria. And then there's a lot of programs that are not successful because of it.
Right.
So with this new approach that I'm doing now, and I also forgot about the Southside Community Center, which we are implementing a trauma-informed care approach under a pilot program with Terrell Rickman called the McGee Pilot Program. It's really based on his life and just the transition. But I actually talked to the executive directors at all these other locations that are doing the stuff that I want to do. And after meeting with them, I learned about their program, and I made sure that I'm implementing something that can be an add-on to what you're doing instead of reduplicating what you're doing. So when I met with Ms. Wallace, she explained to me what her support group is, and I explained to her I'm using more of a psychoeducation approach, which I'm tapping into the generational and environmental, and then just the regular life stressors. A lot of people don't know or think about those things when they lose a loved one. And all I'm doing is as a clinician, we don't say help is assist. All of my clients have the answers. All I'm doing is connecting the dots. So when they share things to me of how they're feeling and how they're going through their grief journey, I am clinically skilled to be able to attach some of the generational environmental trauma and some of their life stressors on what's going on to kind of separate from losing your loved one compared to just dealing with long-lasting trauma that you've been already exposed to.
Well, that is awesome. And before we close, do you have any upcoming events that you'd like to share?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones that I have with one of my clients is with Terrell Rickman. We are doing a reentry basketball tournament. It will be with Terrell and the returning citizens versus May I Community Outreach, the youth. So they're all ages from 17 and down compared to our reentry population. So it's in celebration, it's in fun. I kind of feel nervous. I kind of think I know who's going to win. But it's also in celebration of Mr. Terrell, who has been in and out of incarceration for years. This will make the first year that he's been able to stay out without reoffending. So it's also just acknowledging those things. And it's a huge thing when you have spent majority of your life incarcerated and you're dealing with the same life stressors. He has been able to navigate for a full 12 months and counting. And we're also looking to celebrate him with that.
And you know what? That's another thing that I don't see a lot of in Peoria, that I'm actually happy that you're able to bring that healing here to our city, those who've been incarcerated. Because just like the survivors who have experienced the trauma need to re-enter into the world, so do our ex-offenders. And we need to have room and programs that are actually working, boots on the ground, where we actually see those connections. And I must tell you that when I was down at the House of Hope and I seen some of the young men who came in there, and I know there are women as well, that this is something that I'm not used to seeing. It's kind of sad, but this is the kind of thing that Peoria needs.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to see I'm on the right path.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Corine, and thank you, listening audience, for listening to 89.9 FM. You're listening to another episode of Mother's War on Violence.